Thank you for helping us here at Energy of Hope.
Welcome back to the Circle of Friends. Today it's a circle of hope, a circle of an energy on a young lady here whose name is Amanda Dye, who has taken it upon her life and the rest of her life to take care of youngsters who are immensely in need of direction, of schooling, of hope, of education, whatever the case may be, the immense hope of something. And Amanda, welcome back. First of all, we mentioned a little bit. I just talked to say the kids themselves who are not entered into this program. They live off the streets. They don't know what education is. They don't know what schooling is. Just talk about the school and the energy of hope in the school, and the different subjects that these youngsters hopefully will learn, and with the guidance of the people out there in Africa and your ability to feed that into them. What did they learn in school?
In school, they learn the same main subjects that we do. They learn the math, the social studies, the science, and that's only for the children that are actually able to attend school, which in Zambia, attending school is not free. It costs more than most families make in a month to pay the tuition for 6 months. So because of that, our children are able to go to school, but we have identified 129 orphans living right outside of our walls that are not able to go to school. And sometimes members of the community try to teach them whatever they know, but the most educated person in that village that I was talking about of 5,000 people has a 9th grade education. So based on that, it's very difficult for the children to have access to anyone who has the knowledge. And when you put in the components of needing books, of needing something to write with, a lot of times they just draw in the dirt because they really don't have anything.
Amanda, I know you talked about the needs, the many needs, and you talked about $2 a day to be able to take care of so many needs that these young individuals have. Again, let's talk about how the people can help you fund this monumental task for a young lady who is 24, 25 years of age, who take it upon her mind to de-orphan, you might say, and take it into adoption all of these kids on your own. The legalized papers and everything else, they're actually your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to find these people $2 a day, and for as long as you want, set up a deed or some kind. How, again, Amanda, can they transform their checkbook or whether to the energy of hope, and how can they do that?
Well, we are certainly in need of donations. That's one of our biggest worries. It's something that really holds us back because we have the power to make so much change in Africa, and we have a program that works. It's been tested, it's been approved, it works. We have the endorsement of the Community Welfare Office in Zambia. We're doing good things, but one thing that disappoints me is that I have to spend about 90% of my time working to raise funds and about 10% of my time actually implementing our projects. And because of that, if we could change, if we could have people who continually provide support to our program, then if I was able to spend more time expanding our projects instead of trying to just maintain the ones we have, we would have the power to make an even bigger difference. So because of that, I'm asking schools and I'm asking groups who are interested to get involved. If you want to know more about Africa, if you think it might be something that you would be interested in supporting or even just learning about, please send an email to amanda@energyofhope.org, and I'll gladly give you a free presentation. I love to come into schools and talk to students just like we did with the CERTEENs, because there's so much potential in our students here in the United States, and sometimes it's going to take someone to unlock their potential and show them what opportunities they really have to make a difference, and that's empowering for them.
It's difficult to even fathom that these youngsters are all orphans. that you're talking about, and the reason they're orphans because of the fact that life expectancy is a total of 35 years, and you don't get any older than that.
It is. The United Nations actually estimates that 1 out of every 2 children in Zambia are malnourished. And
Amanda, if you could tell the world, if you were sitting in Oprah's shoes, and if you had the opportunity to tell the world about what you're doing, or what's happening, or what they need to say, hey, folks, listen to me, what would you tell them?
I would ask people, everyone, no matter where they are, to see themselves as a citizen of the world before they are a citizen of any country. I think that a lot of times we decide that it's not our responsibility to help someone because they're far away, but it's dangerous not to. Al-Qaeda is able to get soldiers to fight for them because they go into these areas where the people are so desolate and they take advantage of them. It's important to be involved, and I think another thing that I would like to tell everyone is that life's not fair, but you can be. And I think that if people would just try to make a difference, I know that it can be made. I've seen it done. But people have to decide that they want to contribute to the solution, so I would say get involved. And you can do it. We'll help you. So,
Amanda, one of our life dreams, our life happenings that you and I and David and whoever else are listening to this show, well, the best things we've ever had going for us is the fact that the love of our grandparents. These kids that you're talking about never have that opportunity because their grandparents do not live, their parents do not live. Most of them are orphans because of the fact their parents don't live past 35. And they'll never know what a grandparent is, which is the greatest resource you and I have ever taken part in, your grandparents. Will Africa always be poor?
no. And again, if you look at the history of the United States, 200 years ago, we were poor, and we were fighting a civil war, and we couldn't afford to have schools and the systems that we have today. So no, I don't believe that it will always be poor, and I believe that the people will rise up and they will use education to pull them out of the slump that they're in.
And so these young folks out there you think about, you haven't seen them for how long now?
It's been about 2 months now.
About 2 months. But you still picture their smiles and their irregular teeth or whatever the case may be. You can, for every smile, every little smirk, every mark, every birthmark they have, you know exactly what they are, and you dream about them constantly at 24/7.
I do, and fortunately I have pictures and video clips that help me too.
Yes, and brochures and pictures of actually what your kids are fighting. Some of the kids you have are not in the best condition, but you take it upon them to say, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to the energy of hope. You had talked about supporters you have. The supporters you have put to help you push this program are some of the people I know who do not want people to know that they don't want to take a front seat. They want you to do it. How many do you have? A few supporters, maybe a dozen, maybe 20, or maybe 30. You'd love to have 300. How many do you need? How many? What are your supporters? What do they do?
We have supporters of different types. We have supporters who volunteer. We have supporters who donate. We have supporters who follow up with us and just read our articles and read our literature that we put out. And we always need the help. But one of the things that I am very insistent on is that our supporters understand our cause, because I would rather have 10 people who can explain the kind of issues that we're facing and understand the way our programs work to try to accommodate those problems than I would have 100,000 people waving a flag with our logo. I want people to understand the difference and become involved on it on a deeper level. And we always need donations. When people can donate, it helps us so much because we struggle, and we've been able to create this program, but we need to have a reserve for the kids. We would like to be able to see a little bit into the future as far as our programs go, and in order to do that, we need donations. I feel like I've done the hardest thing. You know, I've gone to Africa. You know, I navigated the political systems with the help of the local community to start this program. I'm not asking the people you don't have to risk your life. You don't have to give up everything that you have to make a difference over there. But what I would ask is, please give something. You know, we have some people who send in $5 every month, and that's about the cost that it takes for us to feed a child 3 meals a day for an entire week. So people say, you know, $5 isn't very much, but ask the child who got to eat that week how much it meant to them. The value of the donations are so much deeper when they're fulfilling the needs of children who truly want to live and do well and help others.
We in America are facing troubled times now. The stock market's crashing, mortgages are being evaporated. People are having a difficult time. But folks, if you could see what's happening in Africa, you would think you're living in a gold steading. As a matter of fact, we were the richest people in the world, and compared to what the troubles we have now and the things we can look for, as far as the energy of hope.
We don't want to downplay the suffering of anybody, and we know that the issues that are facing people here in our own country are real, and that they're very worried about it, and I share their concern, honestly. But at the same time, I think that if we could foster a relationship that's closer with third world countries, if people knew exactly what was going on, it might perhaps give them more hope even as they face their own personal crises, to know how truly, truly desolate they could be, and they would see opportunity even in the problems that they were facing right now.
If there's an opportunity, and I'm sure I know the answer already, but is there an opportunity at some point you will be able to bring 1 or 2 or 3 of these youngsters from Africa to get into the school system in the United States?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, we'd like to, because we have our children, and we're trying so hard to educate them to the highest level possible, so that someday, even, you know, the average age of our children is about 8 years old. So in 10 years, we have 10 years to make a difference and teach that child what they're going to need to know to be able to make a difference for that community of 5,000 people. And if you can imagine a child actually coming here to study in the United States, they would learn so much beyond just the school system. They would see how our society operates. They would see how people really care about the kids that are living over there, and they could take back those experiences and that love and that education back into their communities if they were able to spend a short time studying abroad in the United States. And so we have been looking for a way to make that happen. But as always, we could do it. It's feasible. It's just finding the donations.
What is the mode of transportation in Africa, the cities that you're talking about? How do they get around?
Well, you know, I think God thought about this before he created people, and he made these things called feet and toes. And that's basically the mode of transportation in Africa, and I think it's actually the safest mode of transportation. Once you get into actually powered vehicles, that's when it gets a little dangerous, because a lot of times when you're driving on the highway, there's no dividing line. There's animals, there's giraffes and elephants and things that you have to watch out for on the road, as well as a lot of times the cars, they don't have seatbelts, because seatbelts are considered a luxury in Africa. So based on all of the lack of rules and lack of regulation, it's interesting. So I'd say walking is your safest bet.
I imagine for them to see a motorized vehicle, they're just like, the circus is coming to town. It's wonderful. There's a type of parade. There's a vehicle that's running. How is it doing that? It's got to be fascinating. Again, illumination of the minds and creation of minds. What if someday they could be like us?
Yes, and they definitely get a thrill out of it. We took them in late August. We took them to go to the doctor and visit their sponsored child, because they actually sponsor a child in the same area where they live, because we think it's important to teach them to help the people around them. We rented a bus to take them to the city to actually visit their sponsored child and to go to the doctor, and they were so thrilled to be on the bus. They were just singing, and it was just kind of a religious experience, because they were so thrilled to be in a moving vehicle that it was one of the highlights of their year,
Yeah.
is just to be able to be in something that moves.
Well, that's fantastic to be able to do something like that, which is everyday practice for us. The schools themselves, are they indoors, outdoors? Did the schools go to school on the streets, or how do they provide classrooms or books or knowledgeable instruments for the kids to study?
A lot of times in Africa, there's kind of the proverbial tree.
That's good.
I'm sorry, I messed that up. But there's usually a tree outside, and that's how most schools get started, is people begin to meet by a tree and they begin to learn just whatever they can communicate verbally. As far as school supplies go, there's not a lot of them. One of the most valuable things you'll ever find in Africa is a pencil or a pen, because even if I've had the experience of going places and saying, "Oh, could I borrow a pen so I can write this down?" And the people are just shocked. They're like, it's like asking for $100. It's something that is very valuable to them. So as far as books go, they're like gold. And they cost a lot of money even in Africa, because they don't exist. It costs us about $300 to buy the books to send our children to school, and that's a lot of money.
A lot of money for them.
It's a lot of money for them, and it's a lot of money for us. But when supplies are in such scarce proportions, you end up having to pay that. Just like a hammer, we wanted to buy a hammer to build our kitchen table, and we couldn't afford a hammer, so we used granite rocks to nail the nails in, because a hammer was like $250, because they just don't exist.
We talked about volunteers quite a bit, but we haven't talked enough about volunteers. People consider it right now, I'd like to volunteer, but what could I do except give you $5 or $20 or something like that and do it. As far as your office is concerned here in the Kansas City area and the Liberty area, do the people stuff envelopes, do some typing, do some paperwork? How can they actually, if they had the help of some people, what would they be doing?
Well, we do have those needs of the mailing and the paperwork, but one of the biggest things that I try to encourage people to do is to just tell other people about us, because sometimes they can make a difference and they can convince somebody to help who otherwise would not be interested in doing it. So as far as helping goes, I think the first step that people can take is to educate themselves on the issues. The second step is to educate other people. And
education is what you're doing.
Yes.
And education is what I'm doing, because of the fact that I'm enamored by the opportunities I have to be able to listen to you, hear your story. This is the third time I've heard your story, and it just blows my mind at the fact that what one young lady is doing to encourage the life. Some of these kids, they don't have any encouragement to live. But you put a smile on their face. They probably have a shirt or a sweater to keynote them because of the fact that it's a school uniform or something of this
Yes.
nature. And to say that when they put that shirt on, or put on that blouse,
They're so proud.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And you see the smiles go from ear to ear.
Yes.
And that takes a little bit for us to be able to provide a little bit of input for you folks, and to make the kids have an indelible smile. That's what the Catch Here all about. That's what the future of these young people. Again, I say the future of the young people who will never have, not know. They will never know a grandparent. They will never have a grandparent. And that disturbs me a great deal because, in fact, as a grandparent, I look at my 3 granddaughters and I just, with loving smiles and everything else, and look at them, and they're provided for. They provide me with smiles and loves and sitting on Grandpa's knee and everything like that. But these kids won't have that opportunity, never. And that blows my mind.
These kids are missing a lot of opportunities that they should have and that they deserve to have. But at the same time, we've got to focus on the things that we can give to them, and love is one of them. You know, if there are grandparents here that would like to write encouraging letters to the children in our orphanage, they would be thrilled to receive them. You can send those letters to P.O. Box 372, Liberty, Missouri 64069. They need all of the encouragement that they can get, and they deserve it.
So much to look at, so much to fear. I fear for these young people. And if they did have a grandparent, if they were fortunate enough to have a grandparent for 1 or 2 or 3 years of their life, your grandparent, I know, is going up to heaven. They know exactly what's going on. They know what Amanda is doing. They know what your volunteers are doing. They know what needs to be done. And through the information process of Oprah Winfrey, that you first heard this plea for help, you have already changed many members of life in the Liberty area, the Kansas City area. And in doing this, the PTAs are out there, the service clubs are out there. They need to hear your story. The newspapers of Liberty or the Kansas City, they need to hear your stories also. So we need to talk about that. There's just a couple more minutes to talk about their need.
Okay. Well, if anybody is interested in having a presentation, please visit our website at www.energyofhope.org. You can also send an email directly to me, Amanda, at energyofhope.org, and I will gladly work with you to come up with a time to be able to teach about this, because it is so important to include global issues on our local curriculums in school. And just for anybody who's interested, we want to help you get involved, and we'll find a place for you. So
the school teachers there that they're taking care of your kids, are they schooled in the United States and they go there to assist in your prize project?
No, we actually hire the local employees from the area who live in Zambia because they're more up to date on current issues actually facing the country. But that does not mean that we could not incorporate lessons that were created by teachers here in the United States. One of the things that we're fortunate to have is video equipment in the orphanage, and we're working on getting an internet connection that is strong enough to actually be able to stream video clips back and forth. So technically, if a teacher in the Kansas City area wanted to share a lesson with the kids, all they would have to do is video record it, and we could send it to our kids to have them actually watch it and participate.
What makes Amanda smile?
The kids.
The kids.
And the people who help.
And what makes Amanda fearful?
There's a lot of things. There's the global economy. There's the issues themselves and the things that have happened to my children in the past. But there's hope.
The energy of hope. The energy of a young lady who is destined to the future of her life, the entire future of her life, probably, to be able to say, look at that kid. Look at that kid. When I first met this kid, he was sore-ridden, sores on the body, not a smile on the face at all. And now the kid is being educated, he's being helped, and he's smiling, or she is smiling. And that's what you're living for.
That's what gives me energy, and I couldn't think of a better cause to dedicate my life to.
1 minute left on the show. Your last plea to tell the people how they can help you and the energy.
Please contribute your energy to hope. You can contact us through the website of www.energyofhope, and my personal email address is amanda@energyofhope.org. We need your help. if you've heard this message today, then you cannot pretend to be ignorant of the causes that are of the issues facing the kids, and we really need your help. So if you're interested, please contact us and we'll get you involved.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Bless you, and the future I know is going to be fantastic for you and the kids that are in your school. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, folks, for being a part of the Circle of Friends.
Thank you for helping us here at Energy of Hope.